When using standard time, the question has been raised as to whether you should use Microsoft Project to build out your task hierarchy and assign resources and then bring that MPP file down into standard time, or whether you should create the project with the native features in standard time. In either case, the project hierarchy will show up the same here in the timesheet. Employees will be able to enter hours against those tasks, and you'll be able to compare the original estimates against your actuals. Of course, we're assuming that you need an employee timesheet to enter time against tasks. Of course, you can go to the Tools menu, choose Projects, right-click on a project, and choose Microsoft Project Integration Wizard to bring in your MPP file as you see in other videos on the website. So let's go over to the Project Tasks tab and take a look at what projects look like in standard time. What you're seeing here is a series of projects. Each of the wide blue bands represents a project, and then the narrower bands represent sub-projects or summary tasks, as you would see in Microsoft Project. So whether you create the project in Microsoft Project or natively in standard time, they're going to look identical. You're going to have the same project hierarchy. You'll have columns that will display roll-ups like the duration column here that rolls up to the sub-project or summary task level and then ultimately to the project level. You'll have a Gantt chart, and so you'll have a view that looks very similar to Microsoft Project. So you can create your projects here in standard time rather than using Microsoft Project, and they will look identical. Let's switch over to Microsoft Project so we can take a look at some of the reasons that you might opt to use Microsoft Project. Now, certainly we are not competing with Microsoft Project. We're actually a partner, so we don't want to dissuade you from using that, but just going through some of the issues that you might consider when asking this question. So the first thing to consider is that Microsoft Project is very good at scheduling tasks. You can see a lot of constraint types here that are available in Project that you might not see in standard time. So consider that if you are an advanced Microsoft Project user and you're versed in these types of link relationships and constraints, you probably would feel more comfortable, and by all means go ahead and use that because you may need those relationships to properly represent your project. So Microsoft Project is also good at detailed views. If you go to the View menu or ribbon, you'll see nice views that will give you a richer experience with your project. In standard time, we simply have the task hierarchy that's more like the Gantt view in Microsoft Project. And so if you need some of these more advanced views, Microsoft Project is certainly the tool to use, and we don't want to dissuade you from using those. But if you're a simpler user that just needs a list of tasks and maybe a hierarchy and some roll-ups, you can certainly create those tasks and projects in standard time. Another thing that Microsoft Project is good at is task and resource reporting. When you look at some of the reports, you'll see that they're sometimes more robust and advanced as it relates to task and resource reporting. Now, standard time certainly has great reports, but they are more related to timesheets and the time that has been logged to tasks in the timesheet. Another thing that Microsoft Project is good at is resource costing. If you look at the cost for let's say a non-human resource, you can set up rates for those, and those rates would be included into the project costing. So these are some of the reasons to use Microsoft Project. If you are an advanced Microsoft Project user, that is definitely the tool to use. Now back over in standard time, we still have quite a few features and an overlap here for creating your projects natively in standard time. So we would invite you to take a look at that and give that a try. What you're going to find, as I said, is the task hierarchy. You'll also be able to go to the View menu and choose Project Resource Allocation to see how your tasks are allocated out into the future. You'll be able to see that on an availability chart. There are some textual representations for the same data that you can copy into Excel. You can also go to the View menu and look at your project revenue out into the future. As it relates to the costing, you can also go to the Tools menu, choose Employee Billing Rates, and for each project that you see over on the left-hand side here, you can click on it and set the default rates and then the rates that would override those defaults for each of the projects. So there's quite a few features here that allow you to build out your project right here in standard time. All you have to do is go to the Insert menu, choose New Project Task, and you're going to get a dialog box like this to set the name, set the dates, choose a project and a client, and then set the duration in hours. So it's pretty simple to do. You shouldn't consider a large project a reason to use Microsoft Project, because a single user or an employee can set up a dozen or more, hundreds even, tasks here in standard time in a short amount of time. This is a fairly small project here with a short number of tasks, but still it's a 6,000 hour project. You see another example of that here. This particular one has more tasks, and so standard time certainly allows you to set up as many tasks as you want, hundreds if you want to, or thousands. So consider that as a possibility if you're questioning whether you should set up your project in Microsoft Project or natively in standard time.